Hello and welcome back to the Random Encounters Guild. I am Jenna. I every once in a while forcefully take over this channel and make it my own. And tonight is one of those nights we're going to be playing Blades in the Dark once again. Say hello, scoundrels.
Hello.
Hello.
I'm getting... Oh. I fixed it. Hello. I was getting a weird echo, and it was because Twitch was coming through these along with the Ninja call. So I was trying to figure out where it was going.
Audio gremlins.
Bane of my existence. Anyway, these are my scoundrels. I will be running Blades in the Dark for you today, and we are going to be trying together to learn the new rules from the Deep Cuts book, so we're just gonna have a nice, fun, chill time. And everybody is gonna be perfectly okay by the end of it.
Yeah.
Or I will, at least. Anyway.
That's what they all say.
Yeah, so let's start by just going around the room. I've already introduced myself. Scott, 1, who are you and who are you playing?
Him? Me? Yeah.
This is your problem, not mine.
In the OBS overlay, I changed all of the window things to our characters' names. So, I am Scott, Guildmaster Scott. I started the Random Encounters Guild, and we like to jump around from system to system. Hasn't been a lot of jumping around of late. It's been really hard getting things scheduled, but yeah, we enjoy playing multiple different games with as many new people as we can. We love bringing in new GMs. If you're, my link buttons don't work anymore for some reason, but I will fix that while we're playing, and the link will come up soon. Anybody's welcome to join us on our Discord server. We're always looking for new players and new people to join in our shenanigans. I am playing Eddie the Hawk Hawkins, a lurk, cat burglar, closely resembling Bruce Willis's character in the cinematic masterpiece Hudson Hawk.
Legally distinct.
But legally distinct, yes.
Scott, number 2. Welcome. This is your first time. Who are you and who are you playing?
This is my first time, and yes, my name's Scott as well. I'm new to the Random Encounters Guild, and I will be playing Barnabas Fisher, who is a Whisper.
And Bear. Welcome back. Who are you
Hello.
and who are you playing?
I'm your friendly local neighborhood bear. I am playing Atreus Constantine Renault, a military veteran sharpshooter hound.
Excellent. I want to go ahead and give you guys a bit of the lay of the land of how tonight is going to go. Because we are going to incorporate some of the new lore that was introduced in Deep Cuts, tonight is not going to be its own score. It's going to be more like a downtime situation. So we're probably going to start almost more like a vignette sort of thing, and then let you guys do downtime however you're going to do. This is going to be one of those episodes where I talk a lot because I'm going to be introducing new lore. So just make peace with that now. But I promise you we'll get to play. I'm just going to get us started. So, a little recap here. Because you guys are all in different places. Constantine is, as far as I'm aware, back at the boat, the hideout, trying to deal with a demon electroplasmic eel. That had became infatuated with the boat after Nettle put a couple different, apparently delicious wards over the ship on Valentine's Day, which, by the way, in game time is today. It's been a long day.
Listen, that is a delicious lacquer on the outside of that boat right now.
everybody puts cardamom in their wards, you know. It's good for it. The hawk is on his way out from a lovely dinner party where he survived not getting eaten by a vampire, which, for the record and for everybody watching, I would just like to apologize for that particular episode because I was very sick and should not have even been on stream and my brain was not working. I realize now that what I was trying to do was called a social score, okay? Thanks.
And she is yet to forgive herself for it.
Colds are a hell of a drug. You'll just have to get over it. I will too.
They're called fever dreams because that's the way they are.
Right? Well, the real problem is once I got done with the game and I came upstairs to my husband and I was like, man, I feel like I really blew that one. I didn't know what to do. And he was like, you should have just had ninjas attack. And I was like, where were you, dude? Where were you? Where were you?
Where were you?
So really, it's my husband's fault. It's not my fault.
Where were you? Taking care of the child.
Oh, she's asleep. That's why we start this late.
Oh,
so that I don't have to worry about bedtime. What was I saying? Oh yeah, vampire. Nearly eluded. However, some of his friends are escorting you back to the boat to get Nettle because Nettle has warded this box with a still beating human heart in it that Lord Skurlock would really like to have out of the box. So you were just in the middle of attempting to sneak away from Benny. And actually, Bear, were you at that episode too? I didn't even remember now.
I was definitely here the last time we played, I believe.
Were you here for the vampire dinner?
Was I here for the vampire dinner?
I don't think you were. I know Chad.
I don't think I was.
Yeah, but
Hold
I feel
on,
like I
I'm
had one more
pulling up-
player.
Gus was there. Gus was there.
I
Who?
think this is my first time meeting Barney, so.
Yeah, he's new. He hasn't played.
I'm brand new.
We had Chad, Scott, and
Carver.
there was somebody else. Look, the point is, it doesn't matter. I'm telling you where you are now, and whatever I say at this moment is canon. Okay, don't worry about it.
I was there.
Yeah, whatever. So,
Me, Chad, and Bear.
we're great at this, guys. We're professionals.
Yeah.
I had to pull up the
Yes,
YouTube
Andy.
video.
Anyway, just as the hawk is trying to slip away from the guards that are escorting you to get Nettle,
Oh yeah, I forgot about that.
so that's you guys. Bear, since I already made that up, would you like to be with the vampire escorts or would you like to be back at the boat dealing with the eel? It doesn't matter either way, just flavor-wise, what's your preference?
You know what? I love a good vampire dinner.
Who doesn't? Okay. So
They're always so
you-
classy.
All right, so Constantine the Hawk are with each other at this point. So we know where they are. Hawk has just tried to sneak away, and just before he could, this was a failed roll. That one of the vampires with them basically like grabbed him by the collar and was like, "Where do you think you're going?" And that's where we left off last time. So before we go any further there, I do want to bounce over to Barney, who we haven't met before, but is and has been a member of our crew. So your characters all know each other. This is introducing for us. What is Barney doing right now? Like, what kind of stuff are you up to in your free time?
Like I said, I think right now he's literally being thrown out of the door to the prison, and you know he gets thrown out on the streets, and you see he's a under 5 foot tall, 30-ish year old man, completely bald already, but has a full beard. He looks like he's been hastily dressed, like some of his buttons are done wrong and stuff like that, and then the blue coats are just kind of looking at him as he picks himself off the street, and he picks up his bundle that they grabbed him with, and he starts making his way down to the docks.
Mhm. And these are
Gets
what's
to the
left of your items. The officers that took your items to begin with picked through and basically took out whatever they wanted of your effects. Um, anything that seemed like they could sell or anything they just took a liking to does not belong to you anymore. You no longer have it. So this is, you have like a paperclip and some lint and like, this is not all the stuff that you came in with,
nothing
but
worth
it
selling.
happens.
Yes. Yep. And so he makes his way down to the docks and looks for the barge, and it's not there because I think they moved it.
Hmm.
So he just kind of like sighs and like spends the next like hour looking for the barge.
During that hour while you're looking for the barge, you do hear a fire alarm go off somewhere in the distance and some sort of other commotion and something happening over there. Eventually, you can smell smoke wafting through, but that's not your problem. It's over there somewhere.
God, I hope not.
Just real fast, I mean, while you're waiting, while we have you here, what kind of stuff does Barney like? How are you taking your time? What kind of things do you like to do? Where you have a little bit of downtime, let's say. So when you need to blow off steam and you've been locked up for months, where do you go?
So if he's going to go blow off steam, he is looking to see what's happened in the latest sports activity that's going on in town. What's it called in the new one?
We'll actually
Right.
get to that.
Okay.
You probably haven't heard of anything because you've been in lockup for a while, right?
Oh, yes. Okay. Then he's looking for dicing opportunities. So that's what he was doing on boats.
Dice, I'm pretty sure, I mean, we can make up something fun for later that sticks a little bit better, but for now, there's probably a greasy dive bar somewhere on the docks that's got a good couple tables, tend to run hot for dice. You can just order some horribly cheap beer and have a nice little night to yourself for once.
That sounds awesome.
So one of our guys is having his first beer in a while that wasn't made in a toilet, probably, ostensibly. You
It's
assume
Blaze
that
in the
the
Dark.
bar...
It was made in the
It's
toilet.
50-50, yeah.
You like to think that this bar doesn't make their beer in a
It was
toilet.
made in the sink this time.
And the other two of you are not really making friends with or impressing these vampires that are with you. So as this problem, I think I said there were two of them. I don't remember. There's two of them now. It doesn't matter.
I actually do believe I was there, yeah.
He was.
Mm-hmm. One of them grabs you by the collar, Hawk, and has caught you. There is no sneaking away from this guy. I don't know. Maybe vampires have like super keen hearing or sense of smell or something.
Supernatural abilities.
Supernatural abilities. I mean, it is so possible that that is the case. The thing is, just as he grabs you, and this is the case everywhere, everyone hears thunder. And thunderstorms are very rare in Duskfall. This does not happen all that often. The sky is always dark, but thunderstorms, storms in general, rain are a little bit different. So you guys kind of all like pause and look up, or in your case, out the window of where you are. Everything kind of stops in Duskfall when it seems like it's about to rain. Much like LA, how everything stops the one time it rains a year. See, the thing about rain in Duskfall is, you guys get to tell me, is the rain in Duskfall important because it's the only clean water that's not black from the Void Sea? Or is it important because it's actually acid rain and it's a big problem? Or is it important for something I haven't thought of?
I immediately thought it was gonna be acid rain.
This is collaborative, y'all. You're allowed. You don't even need to
See,
raise your hands. You can just.
acid rain
Please.
makes sense for the setting, but I also think it could be
It's
the
one hope they have.
the one reprieve. It could be the only source of clean water. That's why it's a big deal.
Or when it rains, it messes with there's a field around the whole city, right? Maybe it messes with the field.
Oh, that's a separate thing. You know, especially you know, because you have a weirdo in your group. You have more than one. But you have this one particular weirdo named Nettle. She's a scientist. And yes, it is absolutely true. You know this to be factual. That when there is lightning in Duskfall, scientists get to do experiments that they cannot normally do. And that's sort of separate from there being rain. But I feel like we've established that it's, well, maybe we haven't, because we have not agreed. Is it acid rain or clean water right now? Choose.
I say clean.
It almost
Clean
feels
sounds
more
good.
sad that it's like the clean water, you know? Like that somehow feels worse than acid rain.
I'll say it's clean.
Like
If it
everyone's
rains
running
all
out
the
trying to
time-
find like ways to collect it.
Yeah. And that's what you see mostly around you is like the sort of like normal citizens of Duskfall, the second they hear that like slow roll of thunder, everybody is putting, I mean, like barrels on roofs, pots, pans, anything that can hold water. You're seeing the streets and like windows open, all of it. They're trying to collect every possible bit they can because the water in the Void Sea is black and inky and kind of viscous and has demons in it, which means it probably has demon pee in it. Like not just fish pee, but like demon pee's probably not good for you.
It probably
Um,
burns.
Probably. Yeah, probably. So there's a lot of extra stuff you usually have to do to water to get it clean in Duskfall. So rain is like, you know, get it while you can. But the lightning, though, the lightning, not everybody in Duskfall cares about this, but you know because you have someone who experiments that scientifically minded people and weirdos do lightning experiments. So you know the second you hear it, and we kind of switch, I think. We camera pans, right? You're in a different part of town, and now it's the Sparkrights, who are the ones that maintain the lightning barriers, are and like pull out a whole bunch of different little devices and things, and I think maybe one or two bigger things sort of like roll out of a warehouse, and they just start like excitingly setting things up, and camera pans, and we switch to somewhere where you guys haven't seen before, maybe people that you haven't met in more of a occult looking sort of setting with no windows and very few doors, and there is a big glass dome ceiling with a part in the middle that opens sort of like an observatory, not an observatory, a where you look at the stars, planetarium.
Planetarium.
With other very steampunky machinery towards the middle as they're sort of like using pulley ropes to slowly crank open this ceiling. There are a very few in the know people like that all throughout Duskfall that are getting ready for this opportunity because lightning storms do not happen all that often. And you guys know that Nettle is going to be one of them. And I would like to remind you that your friends are specifically, like these vampires are specifically going with you to get Nettle. That is what you're supposed to do. Barney, you as well, because you know Nettle, she's in your crew. You all know that she has a particular spot near the lightning barrier that
Yeah,
is
because we need Nettle to undo the charm.
You do. So the second you hear that peal of thunder, you know, okay, lightning's coming and I know exactly where Nettle's going to be. She's got this one spot that's going to be kind of her like hideaway sort of thing, near the lightning barriers, and she's probably going to be doing some crazy nonsense over there. And don't even bother going back to the boat because you know there's no chance she's going to be in her spot, because there's no way that she would miss a lightning storm. That level of energy is not something you can normally get in Duskball. So being able to do high amperage, high electric things that take a lot of power or need to generate a lot of heat electrically, you can't usually do. So this is going to be her shot for whatever nonsense she's working on now. Who even knows? So I assume that you would like to go find her, but at this moment you have a choice. Is that where you're headed right now?
I would definitely want
Yes.
to head there simply because some of the things that I'm interested in researching kind of overlap with hers. So
Yeah, we definitely need Nettle to open up the chest.
So then you, Barney, you're probably kind of excited about this too, that you're like, ooh, get to see what she's been working on.
absolutely.
Okay, so when you arrive, it is as you expected. She has set up some contraption. I want you to think of like classic Frankenstein movie, right? Like the giant Tesla coils, and there's like beakers of green bubbling liquid for no reason. Like really, really get like the classic sci-fi thunderstorm in your head, and that is what Nettle is doing right now. Um, she's on. It's not technically a dock, but there's like a part where the lightning barrier just needed to go a little bit farther than where the land is shored up, so they kind of extended a little bit. So it's kind of a wood pier area, but like you're not supposed to be on there, but since it's separate sort of from everything else, it's not like a lot of people like go out on the blue coats would have to like come out and patrol in boats in order to get to that particular spot. It's not helpful. So she kind of
And it's
loves it.
probably
She's made herself
dangerous
a little
too.
shed there to like keep her stuff kind of permanent, but now everything's out. She's got it all set out on tables and everything. Um and I need to read real fast to make sure that because Nettle is Allie's character, and we talked about this, so I need to go back and look at the notes that I made with her and make sure that I get what she's doing right. So this, I think, would be a good time for you guys to discuss if vampires in this world. So we make our
Built in
own
the
vampires,
rain.
right? Yeah, we make our own vampires. We decide which vampire legends are true or not. And in some cultures, vampires can't cross running water. And in some cultures they can, and they can turn into mist or turn into bats or whatever. So while I'm looking up and making sure that I'm gonna get Allie's thing right, you guys should decide amongst yourselves, like, what kind of things apply to vampires in our particular universe.
Was
You'll
there
be
anything
great.
that you guys decided last time? Because I thought there was like some sort of discussion about mirrors or something like that.
That was the only thing, yeah, that they don't show up in mirrors. And
Yeah,
also they drink blood.
we didn't know 100% that we were dealing with vampires until the very end.
Rainstorms are like acid rain for vampires.
Just for vampires.
So it's not particularly friendly for them to be outside.
I like that.
Yeah, I was thinking that too. It wouldn't necessarily be like holy water, but being a clean source of water, it could
it's a clean running water.
Maybe not burn them like if you threw holy water on Bela Lugosi, but it could make them sick, maybe.
Well, yeah, sunlight's out since there's no sunlight, so there has to be something that's negative. Something that keeps them from running rampage.
I would say it definitely stings like they're getting hit with like ballistic balls.
Like airsoft or something.
Yeah.
That works for me. And then, so running water, I mean, there's a lot of like larger canals through Duskfall. Is that also a thing for them? Like they kind of have to stay on their own turf because they can't pass the canals?
I mean, if there's a crossing point, they should be able to cross.
Well, typically, if it's running water, even if there's a bridge, they can't cross. But for our own lore's sake, maybe it's just that they can't like physically cross running water.
Like they couldn't
can't
walk
through a river. Yeah,
that makes more sense, Duskfall wise, because there are a lot of canals. I was kind of just on my own, and this is a total aside. I was kind of wondering about that anyway, because in games like Vampire the Masquerade, and it's in like New York City, and it's like, okay, but there's like plumbing in every building, and like a whole sewer system under the city.
Rivers.
Like you wouldn't be able to walk across a room.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's someone else's
I would
problem.
say it's because they can't walk through rivers.
Because those are other people's vampires. Okay, I've looked up and
maybe they stay away from them just
because they're walking through running water.
I have confirmed what it is that I needed to confirm. Okay, so on the table where Frankenstein's monster would be in our very classic, between the giant Tesla coils on the table. Is not, in fact, Frankenstein's monster. On this table, connected to like weird electrodes and stuff, almost like an EKG situation, is Henrietta. And for those of you who don't know, Henrietta is a porcelain cat doll that the group has not really been able to study all that much. So as far as you guys are concerned, she might be possessed, but you're not entirely sure. But Nettle has been doing extensive studying of Henrietta. It just seems like you guys kind of, especially the Hawk, just don't want to know.
It's kind of like those, like, don't tell me, I don't want to know.
So Henrietta is on this table, and she does not currently have eyes in. If you remember, there was some weirdness with the eyes on the doll. There are not currently any glass eyes in this porcelain doll. She's eyeless. It's just empty. And she is strapped to this table, and there's like big lightning rods. Like these big, are they copper or lightning rods? I don't know. Iron?
They would be copper or gold.
I don't think Nettle can afford gold, so it's probably copper. And copper feels more steampunk to me anywye, personally. Mm-hmm. Like just as a vibe.
Yeah.
Brass, yeah.
Copper is a better conductor.
It just vibe wise, I feel like it fits.
Yeah.
So you guys get here, and Nettle is in full. I mean, she's got the big safety goggles that are like jet black and like reflect the light, and her hair is all up in this messy bun, and she's like grinning maniacally, like she's just so excited. So were you able to lose your vampire tails because of the acid rain? We kind of decided they had to flee, or is the, let me rephrase that. We said that rain is acid rain for vampires. Is it enough that they are like genuinely harmed and they like fled back to the mansion, or is it they're like really uncomfortable right now and that's making them mad, but they stayed with you?
I think exposed or extended exposure to it makes them. It doesn't necessarily kill them or make them melt, but it makes them ill. It makes them like they have to hibernate for days to get over it. And so I would think once it started, if they turn into bats or rats or whatever, or they just turned and
Book it.
bolted back to Skurlock's, I think they turned around and doubled back because Skurlock would know, he's not going to fault them for taking cover from a lightning storm. So,
Yeah. Okay. That makes sense to me. Um, I don't. You're not supposed to ask for rolls in Blades in the Dark. You're supposed to let the players do whatever they're going to do.
Mm-hmm.
yet you always ask.
But I'm going to ask anyway. And partly because we're trying to warm up to these new rules. Actually, okay, no. Scratch what I just said, because here's the first new rule that we're implementing. The way Blades in the Dark, just the game by itself works, is you can have a risky roll, a controlled roll, and a desperate roll. Those are it. A risky roll is kind of your normal, where whatever you're doing could get you in some sort of trouble. A controlled situation is a situation in which you've got a handle on things. You're kind of the one with power or information or whatever that other people don't have, and you have, therefore, the time, energy, money, resources, whatever it is, to do whatever you need to do. And then a desperate role is the opposite. You don't have the time, you don't have the money, you don't have the energy, the resources, you don't have the high ground. And if things go bad for you, they go really bad. In deep cuts, the change is every roll is a risky roll. You just assume that. And if it's going to be a controlled roll, why bother rolling for it? You guys are professionals. You have things that you're really good at. And if you're in a controlled position anyway, just give it to them. The one that it mentions in the book is everybody hates the perception check that you should have. When you fail a perception check and then nothing happens, and it's like, that was pointless. Why did you what?
So basically, they changed it from advantage to disadvantage to, hey, if it's controlled, you got it.
Right,
Cool.
like if you're a level 20 rogue in D&D, there's no reason why you wouldn't be able to just pick a basic lock. Just because you roll a 1, that's dumb. Like,
Yeah.
Of course you'd be able to pick a lock. This is what you do all the time.
You've been
forever.
doing it for 30 years. Yeah, you might have broke the lockpick, but you still know what you're doing.
Exactly. So if you're in a situation like that, you just don't roll for it. Like, it just doesn't. Obviously.
Yeah.
And if you're in a desperate position, you have to roll a 6. Otherwise, bad stuff happens. Those make perfect sense to me. So I was about to call for a roll before I thought, actually, this is what Eddie does for a living. You're always on high alert. You're always scoping things out. You're always watching out around you to see what's going on. That's what you do. That's literally your character. I'm not going to ask you for any roll. I'm just going to tell you what happens, Eddie. I don't think the other two of you notice this because there's a lot of hubbub around, especially since everybody on the streets around you is now putting out pots and pans and stuff to catch all the water. But you see, Eddie, you see that these vampires kind of hear that peal of thunder and start feeling 1 or 2 raindrops. You can see on all 3 of you can see on their skin. The second one raindrop hits, it almost hits them like acid, and it just and like leaves a mark. It almost looks like a cigar burn on them. And they look up and look at each other and go, "We'll find you." And they sort of skirt into a little corner so that if someone wasn't looking directly at them, which you guys are, obviously, but no one else is specifically paying attention, is not going to notice, they into a mist and just kind of blow away. But Eddie, you're tracking that mist. And you see down the street as this sort of fog, this like low rolling, creepy horror movie fog, not high wispy fog. Creepy low horror movie fog rolls through, and you're like, these are the guys that were gonna try and eat us. Two women come out from around a corner, and you realize they had to have been trailing. And they pull out these jars that have these little carvings on them. You can't see what that is from here, but you assume it's some occult stuff. And you can see their mouths are kind of moving. They're possibly an incantation of some sort, and catch these two vampires into these jars. The jars slip under a petticoat. They put their hands into those little, like, Victorian lady hand muff things, and just walk down the street as if nothing happened. Around the corner, gone. Nobody else noticed, nobody else saw. Everybody's got jars and stuff out right now. Not a big deal. But you saw.
As a sharpshooter, would I notice anything about their outfits specifically? Like, do they have any, like, identifying markers on them?
That wouldn't necessarily be a sharpshooter thing, I wouldn't think. That would be...
I just meant, like, because, like, I'm used to, like, optics and, like, seeing far away, and I have kind of, like, a
Oh, yeah,
keen
yeah,
eye.
no. You can totally... If you think your character would have clocked that, I believe you. As far as do you recognize what the outfits are, I think maybe that would be a roll. That feels like...
Study roll.
Because, like, you're asking about women's fashion, and I'm gonna be honest, I don't feel like Constantine really focuses on women's fashion all that much.
I was supposed to,
could be
like,
wrong.
looking for, like, iconography, like, if they have any emblems.
Right, if it's
or...
like a gang affiliation sort of thing.
Yeah.
So there's a couple different ways that you could...
Could I
that
do a
you could
survey
kind of...
roll?
Survey, I think, would make sense, that you're kind of looking them up and down. Maybe something like consort would also make sense if you're, like, kind of thinking back through your contacts and the people you know, and maybe the other gangs or factions in the region. There's a couple different ways that you could do, but survey makes sense to me. Go ahead and roll me a survey.
Is that just... so I have 1 point in survey. Is that just a d6 flat?
It is. And you just assume... the way the roll 20 is with the old rules, so you just assume risky standard all the time. You just always put in risky standard.
I got a 5.
Perfect. Pause, because let me tell you about something else. Let me tell you about something else that they've added in the game, is threats. If you want, you can add a threat to a roll. And then it would give you another die. You don't have to. But especially something like this, where it's not going to be life or death for you.
What's the punishment for the threat?
Whatever the threat is.
I mean,
it would
like,
have to be
what's
something
like the threshold? Like, if I add a threat and I have a second die, what does that do?
So it kind of depends on the situation, but in this case, you don't have to. This is kind of just me explaining the rules, right? Because you already got a 5. Like, we already know that you're good.
Right.
We're kind of learning the new rules together.
Okay.
So this roll is a threat. Which is to say, if you failed this roll, the bad stuff that could happen in this case would be maybe something like, this is potentially another gang that you don't know about, and you now don't know what status you have with a faction that's powerful enough to kidnap vampires.
I guess what I'm asking more is, like, mechanically speaking, how does, like, a threat act with a roll?
Yes.
So, like,
Isn't it? It's like a devil's bargain, right?
it is kind of like a devil's bargain. So let me get to that,
Okay,
right?
so like
if
I just have a
if this was-
general risk, and then I have a second die.
yeah, so
Okay.
if that was really important to you, if you wanted to make sure that you could really do the most that you can in order
Mhm.
to succeed on this role, you can of course always push yourself, and there's always double bargain. But another thing you could do is add a separate threat onto it, which is you making up something new about the world and about the situation that puts you at a detriment, but then you would get the added bonus to the roll. So, like I said, in this instance, one, you already rolled, so we already know it's a 5. But two, there's not like direct harm to your body or anything, right? But if it was like, okay, there's a gun to Eddie's head, and if you don't make this shot, then that person's going to kill him. That's probably one that you're like, I would like to be able to roll extra dice
I
on
would
that
say
one
this is
so
a
that
threat. You know.
um
Okay.
so you could add other separate threats on top of it, like, and it doesn't have to be related at all, like maybe completely separate from that, a dog fighting ring is broken up right next door, and now suddenly there's like rabid dogs nearby. Like it doesn't even have to, you can just add like a complication basically, and
Okay.
adding that complication that puts you at a narrative detriment and adds more drama to the game. You can do that to yourself
Oh.
to get another die.
Okay. Would you
I
like to do that
personally
now?
love stuff like that, and when
Or
I
do
play
you want to
Fate,
wait for
do
the
that
next one?
all the time.
Mhm.
um so that was the lesson on that. I assume that you don't need to do that because you have gotten a 5. Yeah, okay.
Yeah,
um
I do.
so just to keep it moving here, we're gonna go ahead and say that you recognize not specifics, like there aren't, this isn't like a gang uniform, right, where they have like a symbol on their coat and you're like, oh, those are red sashes because they have a red sash. But you can tell that the clothing that they're wearing is definitely upper crust. Like these women themselves are not nobility, but they probably are upper, in the house handmaidens working for nobility. um
Nobility adjacent.
Yes. So the kind of help that would be in really nice clothing because other noble people are going to see them, like the kind that are going to be visible in the house. So they have they are dressed nicer and wealthier than you, but you can see are still working women.
Wait a minute.
Okay.
Do they work for Skurlock and they're getting them home safe?
They don't look like the same kind of uniform that you saw the help at Skurlock's Manor wearing.
Okay.
These actually
That is an
like
interesting
look,
take, though.
yeah, no, that's a really smart question. Um, Skurlock's everything there looked very old fashioned, which you gather is probably because Skurlock is like hundreds of years old. So,
Man's got taste.
yeah, he has very particular taste, and it's a lot like your great grandfather decided in the 90s that he was done renovating his house, and it's 40 years later, and his house still looks exactly like the 90s. Pristine, well taken care of, very clean, but obviously stopped caring about interior design in 1993. Very similar situation. In
Right.
Skurlock's
Hits
house,
home really close.
yeah, everything's clean, well taken care of, obviously very well made, good fabrics and everything, but style wise, very outdated. The style that these ladies are in, I mean, you don't know a lot about fashion, but it looks way more up to date than what you
At
saw
least
from
modern.
yeah, it's modern, which for
Oh,
us is, like Victorian steampunk with the
Right.
frills and the bustles and stuff. Um, they do look sort of, I mean, it's Duskfall, right? But these ladies, these definitely look like a more of a gothic vibe. Like if the Addams family had help, they might wear these kind of nice kind of clothing. Um, it's a choice. It's definitely a choice. So you do notice that, but it does not look like Skurlock. So you get the idea, especially, I mean, you don't work with spirit bottles yourself, Eddie, but you are aware of them. Like
I
you
do.
work with people. Yeah, Barney knows. But you're not quite there yet. That these are probably some what's the word I'm looking for? Where they've been tampered with? Adjusted, maybe?
Altered. Yeah.
Altered spirit bottles in order to specifically contain vampires in this mist form. Um, and you know, spirits don't usually like being in spirit jars, so probably these vampires were not like trying to do this on purpose, and this was probably not a great day for them.
Skurlock's not
But
going to
they're
be
out
happy
of
with
your
us
hair
when.
now.
Yeah,
You are no
Skurlock's not going to be
longer
happy
being
with us
killed by
when
vampires.
his guys don't return to us.
Um, we we have been going for an hour. Let's just take a short break because I just realized that I don't actually have my water here. So let me just go get a water, have a couple minutes, and then we can come back um, and meet back where Nettle is.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Stick around.
Sounds
We'll be
good.
right back.
All right, we're back. We're back. Excellent.
We are back.
Okay, so we're back on. I'm going to call it a pier, with Nettle, and she is cackling and pulling levers and pressing buttons and dialing dials and doing all sorts of science things and writing notes. She's got scribbly, like, these are not neat notes. These are like mad scientist notes, like all over the page, crazy notes. Really, really thematically, like, very much matches here. But she is taking notes. You can find little bits and pieces of them here all over the place, of what she's doing and like checking her math and all that stuff. Let's see, where was I? I said Henrietta's on the table. Henrietta does not have eyes. Okay, that's where we are. So, just as you guys get there and get to her, there is another roll of thunder. So you know you have a few seconds before the lightning strikes again, which means if you try and talk to her, she'll actually listen to you for the next few seconds before she's back on, focusing on whatever she's going to focus on.
Okay. Yeah, I'd like to talk to her. Be like, hey, I need your help. Can I open up that cooler?
I don't I don't care about the cooler right now. Look, you see this? I have that. So I've done, if my calculations are correct, what should happen is, and she is just explaining to you in a very ADHD excited way what she's planning on doing. The cooler is inconsequential.
How long do you think the lightning storm's going to last?
I don't know. I hope it lasts long enough. But the other thing, the cooler. Okay, the cooler. The one with the heart cooler, is that the one you're talking about?
The heart cooler, yeah, the heart cooler.
Well, you see, we can't do that right now anyway, because Henrietta is part of that ward on the cooler, and I need Henrietta here for this experiment. You see, that's why she's on the table. See, what I'm trying to do is, because Henrietta's eyes are not her eyes, you see, they're other people's eyes. They're other people's eyes. So I'm trying to figure out if I can change how her eyes work, or maybe take that out and put it into something else that's not Henrietta. Can we duplicate? Can there be more Henriettas? Can we? And she's like she's going through and very excited about this.
Okay. Nettle.
For those of you who don't know, Nettle is played by Allie, and Allie is Bear's significant other, and she's downstairs in his house right now. She's also one of my best friends, so I'm a little bit trying to do an Allie impression and also a little bit trying to do an Allie doing Nettle impression, and we haven't seen Nettle since Valentine's Day in February, so this is fine.
It's fine. Everything's fine.
It's great.
It's all good. It's all good.
It's probably accurate.
It's very accurate.
How can we help?
Excellent. So glad you asked. Here, take this. You hit that, and this at the. And she's like handing you guys things and going, "Oh, gloves. You'll want gloves. That's acid. Don't touch that." And like bopping around and moving you towards things. And this 90 degrees that way. Nope, that is 78 degrees. I said 90, and like. You guys are interns now. To get everything exactly, precisely aligned the way that it is supposed to be. And then she pulls out what you suppose she's probably made or had made is a second Henrietta. This one's not a cat, it is a frog. It also doesn't have eyes. That because she's trying...
To clarify, it's a frog porcelain doll.
Correct, yes.
Okay.
Eyeless frog porcelain doll.
Yes. If Allie has Henrietta in the room, you are fully welcome to put it on camera if you wish. I know Scott hates it, but I love it and it warms my heart.
I don't want to see it right now.
That is also fine and reasonable. Is there anything else that you guys would like to say or do before this lightning strikes, or you guys are just fully doing whatever she says at the moment?
I'm fascinated by what she's doing, so I am trying to help as much.
I'm in it to win it.
Okay. Is the hawk actually trying to help make a second Henrietta?
No. She's lucky the hawk's not smashing Henrietta while it's strapped down on that table.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
He's going to keep his distance. He's just going to stay back. Like, he's not going to do anything to stop it, but he's also not going to take part.
I'm trying to watch as far as in the ghost field as see what's happening in the ghost field.
yeah, totally. So let's just, if you look through your spirit mask and attune for a little bit to look in the ghost field, I'm not going to make you roll for this attune because this is a lightning storm and you're right by a lightning barrier. It's a little bit of a freebie at the moment. The ghost field is crackling, we will say. Do you remember on old CRTVs, they would have every once in a while, especially if you like paused it and unpaused it, this line would go through and kind of like do this?
Mm-hmm.
The ghost field is doing that. There's these waves of energy hitting through the ghost field, and it's causing these strange distortions that you really haven't seen like this before. So this has to be a pretty powerful storm that's happening. And you know, and also we know because we've done some vignettes throughout the city, there are other people setting up their own lightning rod conductors and running their own experiments through the city. You don't see any ghosts here in particular. I mean, obviously on the other side of the lightning barrier, you know that there would be, but when you look in the ghost field, the lightning barrier looks like, it's like looking into solid neon white, like it just kind of looks white. With like a little bit of a lime green sort of cast to it. It's a lot to look at a lightning
Ultra
barrier.
bright.
But on this side of you, there are not necessarily ghosts so much as there's a lot of ectoplasm running through whatever this experimental apparatus is, and there's a lot of energy radiating off of Henrietta specifically. But you can also see well, actually, you know what? I'll say it this way. That's what I'm going to tell you for free. If you want to kind of push farther to look more closely, you can do that, but that's what I'm giving you without a roll.
Yeah, I absolutely want to pay attention and learn more about what's going on around Henrietta.
Okay. I think the consequences here if this roll fails is that it would kind of, you could kind of flashbang yourself if you're not careful. You could get severely kind of disoriented here, which would count as a level 1 harm. That all the light from the lightning barrier, and especially if you still have this on when the lightning strikes, like this could kind of temporarily. So that's what's going to happen if you fail.
That's Barney would not care in the least. So.
So what are you rolling? That sounds like a tune to me, but I could also see study or survey.
Yeah, I'm gonna roll a tune, I think.
Go for it. Let me see what you got.
Let's see. 5.
A 4 and a 5. Okay, so with a 5, like I said, we'll just call that a level 1 harm. One of the new things about harm that makes so much sense to me is that level 1 harm after a score, or after what makes narrative sense goes away on its own. So things like being scared or nauseated or, disoriented or whatever, those things naturally go away. You don't have to heal them. And then harms like, having the crap beat out of you, you do actually have to heal that harm. That makes a lot of sense, because trying to figure out how to narratively start a clock to heal being scared of someone is like, what, do you go to therapy? Like, I don't know how to fix that. So, so this makes much more sense to me. So go ahead and take level 1 harm. We'll just call it flashbang, I guess we can call it. So you are sort of disoriented. Your vision is a little bit, you've got those bright spots, and your ears are a little bit ringing right now. You're not totally blind and deaf, but it is very distracting. But you can also see in the ghost field, since you're like specifically looking now, there are auras around living people that are the spirits inside them. And not the hippy dippy kind of auras. It's not like you can tell someone's personality or like their star sign or anything like that, but living people have spirits inside them, and you can kind of,
It's an energy.
there's the outline of a living person because there's a spirit in there. It is harder to see than just a ghost by itself, but when you concentrate, you can see it. And you you your friends are here. They look pretty normal, but something looks different about Nettle's spirit than the last time that you looked in the ghost field near her. Um it's kind of hard to place. But you do eventually realize it's her eyes. She doesn't have that sort of like halo glow of the aura in that area. It's just like dark.
Like a blank space.
Yeah, it's just blank right there.
A void.
Yeah. And that is unusual. That a bit of her soul is missing.
Nettle, what are you doing?
Science! And then, boom! Lightning, flash, crash, science! The area that she's in looks a lot like the original Frankenstein movies, but Nettle herself looks a lot like Yzma from Emperor's New Groove. I'm gonna be real honest here. At that moment, there's lightning that strikes her lightning rod, but you can see across the city lightning strikes in multiple places at once. There are multiple lightning rods, and there are like Bellwether Crematorium, where the spirit wardens work and where the death crows come from, has a lightning rod that just is there all the time, for example. So it's not even just new temporary ones being set up. There are a couple around as well. Lightning strikes all of them in this city all at once. And this is not normal white lightning. This is lime green. It looks like the lightning barrier, electroplasmically charged lightning that strikes multiple places in the city all at once. And a couple things happen right at this moment. First and foremost, the things that happen around the whole city is the lightning barrier tears. It rips like fabric in multiple places, and through the lightning barrier you can't really see much because it's bright and crazy and in the middle of a shock of lightning. But there's something through there that's not the Deathlands. You know what the Deathlands look like, and it's not this. This looks like the continuation of a city, like a metropolis with suburbs and roads. It just keeps going. And then the tear happens, and then it's almost like a vacuum. Like the air displaced has nowhere to go, and some people, you're not around a lot of people. This is vignettes throughout the city, are forcibly pulled through these rifts into whatever this other place is. And we can see that there are people pulled from the other place into Duskfall. And it doesn't seem to be just people. It's people with whatever they had at the time. So there are now in Duskfall things that we did not have before. At least one person comes in desperately hanging for dear life onto what we would understand as a motorcycle. There are things happening in Duskfall everywhere, to everyone. And if Lord Skurlock cared about you earlier today, he still does, but now he also cares about this. But we're going to come back to Nettle. Nettle is directly under this lightning rod. And as the lightning hits with this electroplasmic glow, she is also struck by lightning. It's not just her rod, it is not just the table with Henrietta and the frog on it, but she herself. And you can see the lightning has completely shot through her whole body. It's like, I don't know if you've seen scars from lightning on survivors, but it hits through all of your veins. You can see bits of her skin are starting to peel off. She can't even scream. She is frozen, the electricity crackling through her body, just seizing every muscle in her body, and she is stuck that way as she slowly fries to a crisp right in front of you. And as the lightning strike ends, this is a second, half a second. Nettle's lifeless corpse is standing directly in front of you. Exactly the way it was the moment before, but with no spirit in it.
Do I see through the ghost field where her spirit, like, is it gone?
It is not gone. It, you know, as spirits do, and you can hear the bells at Bellwether going. There are many bells happening right now. There are many death crows circling throughout the city right now. It's not just you. That her spirit is sort of like in the process of coming up out of this body at the moment, and you have a second, possibly. If you were going to try and catch her, now must be the time.
Yeah, I definitely like to catch her.
Okay. This is a complicated thing for a couple reasons. She is a brand new and very probably not even aware she's dead sort of ghost, which means the chances of her, even if she is lucid, we'll say, even if she is a ghost that kept her faculties, which you don't know if she is, it's very possible she could accidentally attach onto you, accidentally try possess you, accidentally try and eat bits of your own essence, like, and that's if she's still sentient and you don't know that. So this is a very tricky and delicate maneuver to try and get all of the spirit all in one go. I don't know how you two would possibly be able to help, but if you can think of something, if you would like to help, you can see this. You can see that this has happened.
Can I maybe use my spirit bone charm to, like, kind of like cotton candy her back to her body?
A spirit bane charm?
Yeah.
Okay, so those ones specifically keep spirits away.
Okay.
But if you
Definitely
wanted to
not
use
that
it to make sure to kind of like corral,
one. Yeah.
make sure she doesn't go too far away, you can, yeah, that totally sounds like it would help to me. I feel like that, yeah. Scott, you look like you're looking over your sheet. What is going through Eddie's head right now, by the way, because he didn't even see he couldn't see in the ghost field to see that any part of her spirit was missing to begin with.
Well, I mean, he saw that. I mean, she's a. I mean, I've seen people that have been hit, like, it blows their shoes off, like, it courses straight through and then goes out of any place it can get out, and, like, he was standing there watching all of it because he was trying to figure out what was happening and what he should be doing. But uh, he's not seeing all of that, but he knows that she's, there's no
Yeah,
coming back.
there is no saving her. There is no CPR. You know it. But you do see Barney and you see Constantine and you see them gearing up and pulling stuff out and getting ready. You guys are allowed to talk to each other, by
She's
the way.
here.
I know
She's
I've done a
here.
lot of talking, but
Yes.
you guys are allowed to speak to each other.
Yeah.
I just
She's
don't
here.
have
We have a chance to
anything
save
that
her.
would help. That's not my bag. I don't have anything uh that would help in this situation.
Yeah, Constitute's just kind of like waving his charm around, trying to like corral her back.
In the meantime, I'm pulling. I have a lightning hook, which allows me to capture spirits. I'd be pulling that out with a spirit bottle and trying to corral her into a spirit bottle.
All right. Let's roll for it.
I mean, Henrietta's right there. Should you put her in Henrietta?
Is Henrietta, like, can I look at Henrietta and see if she is designed as a spirit bottle?
Henrietta, you already know that Henrietta is designed more as a spirit mask. It is what she's more built for, and you probably are privy to some of Nettle's notes over the past couple weeks while she's been studying Henrietta. And you certainly have access to all those notes now. So I'm sure that there's some information on her that you would probably have. However, if you already have a spirit jar, that's at least a good place to start temporarily.
Okay.
If you don't have a spirit jar, if you needed something makeshift, Henrietta would probably be a pretty good choice. But if you have something specifically made for that, that's probably... You could always move her into something else later.
Yeah, the spirit bottles I would have on me are very temporary type of devices. So
It's sort of a
at least I know
Pokeball.
she'd be
But
safe.
at least
Yes.
they're known
Yeah.
to be stable.
Yes. I'd rather not risk putting her into something I'm not sure about yet. So
Yeah.
Especially since you don't entirely understand what this experiment did. Nettle mentioned very quickly what she was hoping to accomplish, but you don't actually know if it changed or what it changed or what. I mean, it's an experiment, right? Like,
yeah, it's going to take me a while to go over what she was trying to do and
right.
figure it out. Okay.
So this is kind of a big role. Constantine, you just watched your girlfriend be completely incinerated, and now your friend here is trying to trap her spirit in a bottle. How do you feel?
I feel stressed. Feel not great. I'm certainly worried about the future well-being of said girlfriend, seeing now that she's a Casper in a bottle. You know.
Don't you hate when that happens?
Yeah, there's gonna be like a little bit of crying, a little bit of like, why, and a little bit of like, what the fuck was she trying to do?
But there's always time to go over the notes later. Right now,
Yeah.
actually, I suggest while we're here, Scott, that might be something that your character does. You might be like, all right, this is getting bad. I want to collect up every scrap of notes, everything written down, so we can find out later what happened. And then once they do whatever they're doing, you can get the hell out of here.
For Eddie, yeah.
Because all the notes she left, that's going to be your best shot of figuring out what's going on.
Because they're going to be coming.
I'm not going to make you roll for that. I'm just saying, like, you're probably not just standing there stunned. You're probably
packing everything up.
Yeah.
Let's get the hell out of here.
All right.
As far as I'm concerned, Henrietta can stay right there where it's at.
I'm taking
Somebody
Henrietta.
grabbing that. If it's coming back to the ship, somebody else is grabbing that. I'm not.
All right.
It may be important. I'm taking Henrietta.
I didn't say, okay, that is very fair. So as far as you're concerned, you pack up all the notes, but you leave Henrietta. That
Yeah.
is very reasonable. This is going to be the last roll of the night, and then we're going to end it. But I do want, I would like a roll, and it can be a group roll. You can do a group attune, or Constantine, if you want to take the 2 stress in order to help, that is also fine. But I want to see, are you guys able to get the spirit into a jar?
I'm 100% taking 2 stress to help.
Okay, not a
Yeah, I was
problem.
about to say, and if I can push myself, I'd also want to take another die.
I
don't know.
think
Is that
that you
that's not in the
can.
rule
I
book,
think
right?
you can help and push yourself, but I don't think you can push yourself and do a devil's bargain. And then the last thing, your implements, the spirit jar or the lightning hooks, are either, what are they fine? Are they
The spirit jars are not, but the lightning hook is a fine.
a fine?
Item.
Okay. So I think what that means is you get better effect with a fine weapon. So we'll keep that in mind. Go
Okay.
ahead and make your roll. You get an extra die
Cool.
from Constantine. So you take, both of you, basically what's happening right now is both of you taking 2 stress. Barney for pushing yourself and Constantine for helping. So both of you take 2 stress, and then that's 2 extra die onto this roll.
Fingers
If you
crossed.
want to add threats, you can, but
Oh.
There
6.
is a 6.
There's
a
a 6.
a 3, 2, and a 2, but we don't need to worry about that. You know, I didn't actually say that this was a desperate roll, but looking at it, I feel like if any roll was going to be desperate, it would probably be that one, right? Like,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
might get
Yeah.
possessed by your newly dead friend. That feels like a desperate thing. But you got a 6. You did it. Okay. So the storm passes. Everything is eerily quiet in Duskfall. All you can hear are the crows. And in your hand is this glowing green bottle that's just sort of a soft sort of swirl inside it. But with your spirit mask still on, you see in this bottle as suddenly these 2 black void spots come to the edge and look towards you. And that is where we're going to end our session tonight. Thank you for joining me. Sorry you guys didn't get to be super scoundrels, but you did get to watch a crew member die, so that's fun, right?
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely.
And we are making this a every Monday night thing. We're going to have at least my Scots as my core scoundrel crew. And then kind of
Unironically, I take Mondays off.
totally understandable. And then as other people in the crew can join us as guests, like Bear, then we will. So next time we will come back and see if we can maybe figure out what to do from here.
Let's do a score.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll do a
Good
score.
time.
We'll do an actual score. This was like baby steps of honestly me trying to remember how
before
rolls
score.
work. But yes, this has been Carrie and Crew Blades in the Dark, and welcome to some of the new lore from Deep Cuts. There are strangers from a new world. We have new people, new factions, new industrial technology, new guns, and new mechanics to play with.
Oh, new guns, you say?
Oh yeah. Lethal and non-lethal, baby. There's all sorts of fun stuff that we're going to look through and play with, and I'm very excited about that. So until then, I've been Jenna. I am your Duskfall Master. That's your DM. And I have now killed 1 player. You are character. I've killed one Karen.
There's a
I think
difference.
Allie
There's-
is
What
still
did I
breathing
what did I get into
downstairs.
here?
And it's only taken me like a whole year to get there. So what can I say? I'm a pushover. I'll try harder next time. Scott,
Once the ball's rolling, you know.
I've
yeah,
done
no,
4
I
the
get,
past
you got to
week.
get the taste for blood. Scott, number 1, your outro, sir.
Which one is that?
Still not my problem. We can do Scott
After
1
you.
and Scott A.
Go ahead, Barney. I'll shut it down at the end. Go ahead, Barney.
Scott, thank you. This has been fun, and I'm looking forward to continuing on with this.
I'm
Scott?
Bear. I'm your friendly
Bear.
neighborhood sharpshooter. Looking forward to more sharpshooting.
And I am Guildmaster Scott. And as always, this has been great. It's been a long time since we've gotten to play anything, so I'm really glad we're getting back into this and kind of building our own world again. Yeah.
Same.
There's more coming. I want to. I've got 3 games in my head at the moment that I want to get out. I just got to get the scheduling thing worked out. And there's also the game that I was writing and creating that has kind of been put on hold for an extended period of time due to childbirth.
Which is why my games get rescheduled too.
I'm also currently homebrewing a world.
Nice. Well, you can run it here.
We should all just get together and pick a day and have like okay, we're gonna stream like game development together. Why not? We'll just like
Just
pick
all
one.
3.
Yeah, just kind of cycle through.
See, that's the thing. Chain theory is like 98% done. It just needs to be written. It needs to be laid out and written. But as far as mechanics and all that, I think it's pretty much done. We've run it several times and it works. So I don't know, but yeah. Sunday night we'll probably be playing Aliens Fireteam Elite again.
Except you won't be watching that.
Last night was a do what?
I said, except no one will be watching that because they'll be with me as I stream Star Tripper. Except not yesterday.
Last night was a
that was
disaster. It was not good. We had a horrible time last night. But and then and yes, we had fun. We just didn't succeed at anything we tried to do. It's the last mission of the game, and it's super difficult and scary. But yeah, and Sunday night, Jenna will have her Star Tripper, Starforge solo game, and then Monday night we'll be
our
back
NPC
here.
that we thought was a friend is actually a space pirate and is gonna try and murder us at the beginning of next session.
Yay!
But then Monday night we'll be back here for more of our Blades story, and we may have another new player. I got contacted yesterday by another person wanting to get in from our post in the Blades Discord server. So we may be bringing in another player. So I think we're going to raid the Lollygaggers. I'm not sure what they're running. It says down in Arizona Bay. I don't know if that's the name of the game or just the name of their campaign, but they're a good group. I like watching them. And also, you guys, you're going to have to go to YouTube or the VOD here on Twitch and check. This has been some of my best Sirenscape work ever. Every time you said the word thunder, there was a thunderclap. And when you talked about Nettle giggling, I had giggling going on, and the machine blowing, and storm going, and like this was perfect for Sirenscape. So yeah, I'm pretty proud of Sirenscape. But yeah, we're gonna raid the lollygaggers, and so say hi to them, and we will see you next time. Say good night, everybody.
Good night,
Good
everybody.
Good night,
night.
everybody.